Hello everyone, I'm Alfian and today we are going to solve the HackerRank challenge on the problem solving section called the Beautiful Days at the Movies. And for this particular challenge, the description says Lily likes to play games with integers. She has created a new game where she determines the difference between a number and its reverse. For instance, given the number 12, its reverse is 21. Their difference is 9. The number 120 reverse is 21, but for real, if it is in the form of string, it is 0, 2 and 1. Since it is converted into an integer, then it will be 21 instead of the leading 0 in front of the 2, and their difference is 99. Why the difference is 99 is because if you subtract 120 with the 21, we got the answer of 99. And she decides to apply her game to decision making. She will look at a number range of days and will only go to a movie on a beautiful day. Given a range of number arrays from I to j in array and a number of k, determine the number of days in the range that are beautiful. Beautiful numbers are defined as numbers where I subtracted by the reverse of the I is evenly divisible by k using the modulo. In other sentence, if a day's value is a beautiful number, it is a beautiful day, and the other way around, if it's not, return the number of. If it's not, then it is not a beautiful day, and then we don't count the beautiful day at all, and then we return the number of beautiful days in the range. And we have a function called beautiful days that takes 3 parameters. The first one, which is I in a form of integer, and then the second one, which is j in the form of integer, and also the k is in the form of integer. The k one is the one that we need to divide upon to see if it is a beautiful day or not, and the j one, which is the range of date. This is the maximum date or the end date, and this is the starting date. So let's say we have I equals to 20 and then j equals to 23. Then we need to count from the I, which is 20, and then 21, 22, and that leads to 23. And that way is the final number of j. And then we need to count each one from the 20 to the 23 with the k with the reverse one to see if it's a beautiful day or not. If it is beautiful, then we need to count this by 1. If it's not, then we don't have to count this at all. So the beautiful day is the one that can be divided by the k parameter, and we can use the modulo to check if 18 divided by 6 is equals to something that is not containing any floating number or a comma sign, which is in modulo operator. We need to use modulo from 18 modulo 6, and then to check using the strictly equals if it's equals to 0. If it is other than 0, which is not 0, which is 1.5 right here, which is not 0, then we are not counting a beautiful day from the day 21. And the same thing applies to the day 23, which is the final date of the j parameter. And then the expected return from the beautiful days function is in the form of number, which is a counter to track how many days that are considered beautiful days. Okay, so without further ado, let's solve this out. We are using TypeScript. If you want to use something else other than TypeScript, then go ahead. I encourage you to do so. Okay, so the first thing, we need to iterate over the date from 20, 21, 22, and then 23 based on the 2 parameters of the I and j. How to do that? It is very simple using the while loop. While I is below, as long as I is below or equals to the j, which is the limit of the while loop, and then we count the I plus plus, and this to prevent the while loop from running infinitely. And then we return a placeholder of 0. Then before we count the I plus plus, we need to print this into the debug window using the console.log of I to check if I can be mutated inside the while loop, because it is in a form of parameter, not in a form of let or constant variable. So let's run this out, and we have 20, 21, 22, and 23. What about the test case 1? We have the first I, which is 13, and then the j equals to 45, and then we need to count to the 13 into the 45. Okay, so we off to a good start right here, and then we need to eliminate the console.log. We can use count how many beautiful days, and the next one reverse the date or day count, and then the next one we need to subtract or check the difference against I with reverse I, and then the next one divide by 6 to see if it is floating number or not. If it's not a floating number, count the beautiful day, and then we can declare a beautiful day counter outside of the while loop using the let counter equals to 0. That is the initial value of the let counter, and then the counter variable, we can use this to count how many beautiful days that from the while loop operation. The first one we already count the how many beautiful days using the let counter, and then reverse the date and day count. We need to reverse this one using the constant reverse I. To reverse the I, we need to convert the number into a string first. Let's say we have 20, and then we need to convert 20 into the 20 as a string, and then after that we need to separate the 20 as a string into the array using the 2 and then as a 0. After we split this into the array, then we need to reverse the array of string, and then using 0 by 2, and then it becomes the 0 and 2, and then we convert this into the string using the parse integer. Okay, so how to do this? By using the conversion from the integer into string. It is very simple, using the using the method to string to convert this into a string, which is 20 right here from the step 2, and then we need to convert the string into the array, and then we can change this using the split that takes parameter of empty string, just using 2 double quotes as the parameter of the split method, and then we can change this again using reverse method that takes no parameter, and that way we are reversing the array in place. We are reversing the 2 and 0 into the 0 and 2 still in the form of string, and then the next one we need to change this using the join method, and the join that takes the parameter of empty string, and that way we are joining without any symbol at all. To join this at 0, 2, if we use the join with the empty space like this, then the result will be 0 and 2 like this. We don't want that part like this, 0 and 2, but instead we need to eliminate all of the white spaces. Then we will get 0, 2 as a string, and then we need to wrap this out using the constant again, reverse number from the that takes the reverse I, and then wrap the reverse I using the parenthesis, and then in front of the parenthesis we can use a method called the parse integer, and that way we are parsing the string of the reverse integer as the whole integer, and that way from the reverse I right here, which is in a form of string, that is the data type, and this one reverse number is in a form of number because of the operation from the parse integer, and that takes the parameter of string, and then the second parameter, which is null, we don't define the radix, and then the output after the colon sign is in a form of number, so it explicitly says that converts a string into an integer. Okay, so for the next one, we already got the reverse num. We need to check the difference against I with the reverse I using constant difference I subtracted by the reverse num, and then to keep this from subtracting one against another, to keep this from outputting a negative number, then we need to wrap this in using the Math.absolute method that takes the I subtracted by the reverse num, which is 20 subtracted by 0, 2, and the Math.absolute method is in the form of double pipe between the subtracted numbers from the 20 subtracted by 0 2. This is the double pipe sign, and that is the notation of math absolute method. And then we already got the difference. Then we need to add the if check, an if check to see if difference divided by x, or the k parameter, is in the k parameter, pass into the difference to check if it's strictly equals to 0, if it is already depleted or not returning any floating number. That is one way to check, one of many ways to check if it is a floating number or not, by using the modulo operator and divide the first variable using the second variable, and then to see if it is strictly equals to 0 or not. If the result contains a floating number, then it is not a beautiful day. If it doesn't contain any floating number, then we will count this as the beautiful day, and then we need to use the counter plus, and we don't have to use an if using the else check, because we only check if the k is equals to, if it is not a floating number, then we need to count this by 1, and then we can move the iteration by 1 right away. Okay, so let's run this code to see if it works. Okay, so let's submit the code. Okay, so that's about it. I hope you understand my explanation. If you still don't understand, you can ask me in the comment section, or if you have any better solutions regarding this challenge, tell us what you think in the comment section. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.